Hi guys, today I'm back with another foundation review. Today it is all about a powder foundation from Too Faced. I've been using this for quite a while, so I should be able to give you lots of information on how I feel about it. I feel like they changed the name though, because on the back of this it says the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Complexion Powder, which I'm almost positive is what it used to say on Sephora. Now on Sephora they're calling it the Born This Way Undetectable Medium to Full Coverage Foundation, but later in the description they still call it a multi-use complexion powder. So anyways, if you are unfamiliar with my foundation reviews, I will be doing application, before and after, flash photo test to show you how it wears throughout the day. There will be timestamps down below if you'd like to skip ahead, along with other oily skin content like skincare, more foundation reviews, and other shades that I wear in other foundations if you are trying to match yourself. But is that it? Oh, and I've reviewed Too Faced Born This Way liquid foundation. I've reviewed their concealer, the Do You foundation, along with the Peach Perfect. So I will have all of those linked down below, but let's go ahead and get started. So this foundation is new-ish. There's been a million foundations lately launching, which I will be trying to review as many as possible. This one comes in 25 different shades, which I think is a pretty good shade range. Retails for $37 American, $49 Canadian, and you're getting 10 grams of product in here, which is about average for a powder foundation. I would say it can range anywhere, like the low end would be 7 grams of product, and the high end of a foundation, the amount of product, like the MAC Studio Fix, I think has the most I've ever seen in a powder foundation, and that one has 15 grams. So this one kind of comes somewhere in the middle. In the new name of it, it claims to be medium to full coverage. On the actual like Sephora list, it says that it's medium coverage, has a natural finish, but is still very long wearing. So I'm going to go ahead and prime half of my face, and we'll go ahead and get into the application. Today I'm going to skip concealer, but generally if I'm doing a powder foundation, I will do concealer first, set that, then go in with my powder foundation. I've done that in other powder foundation reviews. I've got a whole playlist of those, so I will link to that down below. Today I'm going to skip concealer just so you can really kind of see it fully in action. I do have the Born This Way concealer out, which is probably my favorite concealer of all time, but I decided to skip it today. So I'm going to be wearing the shade Warm Sand. I find this to be a really, really good match for me. In the Peach Perfect foundation, I was wearing Sand, which was like an okay match, but not a great one, and that was before they extended their shades. So I think Warm Sand is a better match for me than Sand is a little too neutral. And I'm going to be using the e.l.f. powder brush. This is one of my favorite brushes for powder foundation, or the Real Techniques buffing brush that comes in their complexion kit. I'm a huge fan of powder foundations. I've always loved them. I find them super easy, simple, and yeah, I just really, really like them, and I've been liking this one a lot, both as a powder foundation and to set my face. It claims to have smoothing properties, oil controlling properties. It also has hyaluronic acid in there, coconut water, and alpine rose, which I think is in the entire Born This Way line. I only tried the liquid Born This Way not long ago, but I really liked that. Yeah, I really liked the whole line was great, except for the first Born This Way concealer. That was not great. But the second one is good. So you can buff it in, you can kind of pat it in. I find it to give a really smoothing look to the skin, especially if you are setting a liquid. When you go in with this powder, it just looks really, really smooth. It is a little bit powdery. Nothing crazy, but definitely powdery. And I'm just buffing it into my skin. And if you want to skip concealer and just use a powder foundation sometimes, and I might actually today go in with just the same powder I would use to set my under eyes, like a banana powder to brighten things up under the eyes. I kind of avoid that area a little bit because I like that area to remain a little bit brighter, and then this way I can also show off my freckles. So you can see how I've built it up here. You can still see my freckles, but there's definitely more color in my face. My face is always a little bit lighter than my body. I'm gonna build it up just a little bit more. It doesn't feel heavy, doesn't feel like anything. No scent. I loved their, was it the chocolate powder foundation? I still have that hit pan on that. But I guess they discontinued it. I'm not sure, honestly. I liked that one a lot. So this kind of reminds me of that. So I think you can see I got nice coverage. The finish is definitely natural. I would say like a natural matte. There's not like a ton of luminosity on my skin. It does recommend or say it's good for all skin types, so dry, oily, combo, sensitive. And I think that a lot of people could wear powder foundation, but they're kind of afraid of it, perhaps, especially if you have a drier skin type. It's really going to depend on the foundation and how you prep your skin, but a good hydrating primer, hydrating mist after the fact, I think can look really, really good. Like the Makeup Forever, I think would be a really beautiful powder foundation if you have a drier skin type. The Color Science one as well is super creamy if you've ever tried that one. I reviewed it quite a while ago. But yeah, I think that this looks really good. I mean, I have been loving it. I'll say that there. I don't want to ruin it, but I'm gonna go do the rest of my makeup and I will be right back. So I'm back now with my full face of makeup. As I mentioned, I used the Makeup Revolution Bacon Blot Powder just under my eyes. Doesn't have a ton of pigmentation, just has a little bit of that bright kind of banana-y-ness that I like to put under my eyes even if I'm not wearing concealer. And then on my eyes I'm wearing the Just Peachy Mattes palette, which I have a full 3 looks 1 palette on this if you missed it years ago when it came out now, I guess. And the Natural Face palette, which I really, really enjoy as well. One of the few face palettes in which I can use all the shades in the palette. But I think things look really good. I think it looks smooth, it looks natural. It has nice coverage, but not a ton of coverage. And I really, really like the way that it looks in photos as well. I thought it performed great here in my studio lighting. It looks really, really nice. And you'll notice in the flash photo, I took that in a completely dark room. I don't think it looks like there's a ton of, or like any flashback. It looks a little bit lighter on my face, but doesn't look like crazy flashback. And I think it has a really nice natural sheen on the skin with the flash. And that those photos were taken before I put anything else on my face. It is just the powder foundation. So I think it looks great, but we will continue to check on it throughout the day. So I will check back with you in some natural light. Hey guys, coming to you with my midday check-in. I think things look really good. I am actually a little bit sweaty right now because we just gave Emily her first bath. If you haven't been staying tuned, I got a hairless cat and they need baths, so that was very, very tense. And then I was sitting in a really hot room just then trying to clean her nails and she was not having it. So anyways, I'm a little bit sweaty, but things look good. There's Nimsy. Nothing has oxidized. I still have all my coverage. Nothing has faded or anything. So I will continue to wear this throughout the day and check back with you this evening. And we are back. It is now the end of the day. I've had the foundation on for about 10-ish hours. I figured I would blot. I'm a little bit shiny. I will say is like, it got kind of fallish in Toronto and then out of nowhere it was like, just kidding, it's summer again. And it is so hot and humid today. So I'm definitely a little bit dewy today. And on top of that, as I mentioned, I do have a new cat and I've been using heat as a method to stop the hissing, slapping, etc. that's been going on in my household in the introduction of cats, because then they'll just kind of lie there in this heat coma. So it's especially warm here today, but I'm blotting with actual blotting papers. I don't know that that's happened in years. I have the NYX Bear With Me blotting papers. They sent me those. And I'm just going to take a powder brush. There's no actual added powder on here. And just kind of zhuzh things back together. So like I've said, I've tried this foundation now and have been wearing it for at least a month on and off in the way of setting my foundation and as a foundation itself, as a powder foundation, and I really like it. I really, really feel like the name that they have on the back, not on Sephora anymore, is very true in the sense that it is a multi-use complexion powder. I think you can use this in a multitude of ways. My favorite way to use it is to set like a tinted moisturizer because it adds a little bit of coverage, it adds some longevity, it's really, really smooth looking on the skin, and I think it's really beautiful that way. You can obviously use it in a little bit lighter of a capacity if you're wearing like a more full coverage foundation and you still want to get a little more coverage on there, a little bit of the smoothness, and I do think it acts like a great powder foundation. When I tend to wear powder foundations in the average day, like outside of a review, I always use a setting spray. I find that that just kind of helps meld things together. I didn't do that here today just to kind of show you it in a more pure form. There's not a huge difference between primed and unprimed. There never really is. And I think things look really good. It's patched off a little bit on my nose, which happens with just about any foundation. It did get a little bit shiny, so I wouldn't say it's like the most mattifying foundation ever, and it doesn't claim to be that. It does say there's some oil control, and I wouldn't say it's like the most oil controlling product out there. Their mattifying Peach Perfect powder is super matte, so if you want to use that to kind of like set your powder foundation, you can go ahead and do that, or use it to like touch up or something. But the nice thing is you can also touch up with this powder. So overall, I think it is a really, really great product. I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy how multi-use it is. Like I said, I've traveled with this. I brought it home to Newfoundland along with my NARS tinted moisturizer, and depending on the day, I mean, like some days I didn't wear makeup at all because I was like just kind of home chilling, but the days that I did wear makeup, I either had the option to use the powder as a powder foundation or to set my NARS powder, and it works great in both capacities. For me, if I'm looking for something to be like incredibly long wearing, last me for like 16 hours, be super matte, super full coverage, I'm never going to reach for a powder foundation, even if it is a really good one. For me, that's kind of where liquids come into play. To me, powder foundations are something that are super quick. They're very, very, very easy to use. They're very versatile, as I mentioned, the good ones anyways. So I feel like that kind of checks all the boxes here. And of course, if you want to use a setting spray or touch up with it throughout the day, you'll get even a little bit more wear time out of it that way. And I don't feel like it oxidized or anything like that. I feel like this is quite a good shade match for me. So overall, I really enjoy this product. I think this could work for any skin type. It's kind of hard for me to technically predict if you have dry skin if you'll like it, but like I said, do your prep work. And if you have oily skin, I don't think this is going to be the kind of product that keeps you matte all day, so that's going to be personal preference, but I do feel like it sticks around. It doesn't get too greasy. It doesn't slide around on my face. It doesn't patch off in a weird way. And use a setting spray. You can even use a little more mattifying powder on top of it if you want to go that route, but I do feel like it has a really beautiful finish, nice buildable coverage, and like with any foundation, the more you put on your face, the more likely your face is to get oily and have things move around, just because there's more on your face to go wrong. But overall, I really, really enjoy this, and I do recommend. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!